Hello, I'm Leslee Blanch. I'm the Family Consumer Science Facilitator for Bonneville County for University of Idaho. This presentation will be on Mealtime Inspirations Holiday Edition, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to make a gluten-free cornbread stuffing. I became gluten-free about 2 years ago, mid-November, which was kind of a tricky time of year to tackle that diet change. The good news is the diet change helped my symptoms, but it added a little challenge to Thanksgiving, which was 10 days away. About 10% of people in the U.S. are becoming gluten intolerant in some form, so chances are increasing that you may be hosting a gluten-free guest this holiday. Some things to keep in mind is to look for a turkey that says gluten-free, also not to use a pre-made gravy blend, but to make your own gravy using cornstarch or gluten-free flour. Ham would be another thing to look for the label gluten-free and avoid those pre-made glazes. You can make your own glaze pretty simply with water and brown sugar or some pineapple juice. Turkey stuffing is pretty traditional this time of year, and this recipe, although it's gluten-free, is something that everyone will enjoy. So one thing I discovered is you can buy gluten-free cornbread mixes, which this is already prepared, and just cook. I would cook 2 packages, about 20-ounce packages of gluten-free cornbread, just according to the package directions, preferably the night before so that you can leave that out on the counter and let that bread dry out a little bit. The day that you're going to be making the stuffing as a side dish, you can scramble 1 pound of seasoned gluten-free sausage. And again, you want to check the label for gluten-free. Sometimes there are injections that contain wheat in sausages, hams, turkeys, etc. So just check your labels for gluten-free. So scramble that sausage 1 pound until it's well cooked, and then transfer that to a large bowl. You'll be chopping 3 cups of celery and about 1 cup of onion. Again, give or take, a little more is better in this case for seasonings and celery and onion. And you will just add those sauteed vegetables into the sausage mix. Now I used olive oil to saute the celery and onion in, about 1/4 cup. You can use any kind of vegetable oil you choose, or even butter. Just mix those together. After mixing the sausage and celery, you're ready to add your cornbread. So I just take the cornbread when it's in the pan, slice it into about 1-inch cubes, again, give or take. This recipe doesn't have to be super exact. And then mix those nice dry gluten-free cornbread cubes into that large bowl. And this is a pretty large recipe. This will probably still have leftover for a little side dish in a casserole, which is nice because the turkey stuffing tends to really get moist. Our next ingredient is gluten-free chicken broth. It can be any brand. It can be pre-ready or a bouillon that you add your own hot water to. You want to add about 1.5 cups. And again, this gives some extra moisture and flavor. I chose a low-sodium gluten-free chicken broth. That's totally optional, depending what your dietary needs are or those of your guests. And then come the seasonings. So 1 teaspoon each of these 4 seasonings. The first one I'm adding is poultry seasoning. As you can see, I'm not being real exact with the 1 teaspoon. Again, to me, more is better. So you can kind of experiment, but I would put in at least a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, and then sage. Thyme. I like the look of the, there's going to be a lot of thyme in that. That's okay, it's a nice seasoning. I like the look of the fresh herb, or dried herb I should say, as opposed to the powder. Just gives a little texture look to that dressing or stuffing. And then celery seed. Celery salt would be an option, but there's plenty of salt already in your sausage and your broth, so I don't find the need for any additional salt. Last, I was going to say last but not least, but I guess it is least, is ground pepper. And with the black pepper, I just put in about a half teaspoon, and that's plenty to add that little burst of flavor. So I'm going to just give this a great mix just to distribute that flavor. And that chicken broth is adding flavor, just a little bit of moisture, but the cornbread is pretty dry, which is how you want it to be. So you won't have a soggy stuffing. Just going back a moment to the sausage, it can be turkey sausage, it can be pork sausage. Just make sure the label says gluten-free. And again, I like to get a seasoned sausage just to add a little more flavoring. All right, so once you've mixed that well, you can place in a casserole dish and bake for about 30 minutes at 350, stirring maybe once or twice to distribute the heat during that cooking time. And enjoy.